Breaking news now on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Breaking news from Ansonia. Police say a woman and her baby girl have been missing for days. Good evening. I'm Sarah Sanchez.
And I'm Brent Harden. Police say the two haven't been seen since Tuesday. Now take a look at your screen here. This is 26-year-old Marilise Cruz and her 2-year-old daughter Anastasia Santiago. Police say the two were supposed to come home today but did not. They were last seen in the area of Main Street and Maple Street on Tuesday afternoon. They were reportedly heading to New Haven when they left Ansonia. According to police, Cruz was last seen wearing blue pants and a gray sweater and pushing a black stroller. The little girl, Anastasia, was last seen wearing a pink top and pink sneakers. Police say Cruz does not drive and takes the bus for transportation. Again, take a look again at the photos of the two. If you think you've seen them or you might know where they are, please contact Ansonia Police right away. We'll be sure to update you if we learn anything more from authorities.
Now to the story of a Waterbury man who says he was held captive by his stepmom for more than 20 years. He'll have a long road to recovery, and the arrest warrant for his stepmother, it details effects of starvation, dehydration, and limited social interaction. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson spoke to experts about the possible impact.
A Waterbury man says access to food and water were limited his entire life. He also had limited social interaction. Now, as a 32-year-old man, medical professionals are wondering what kind of toll this could have had on a human being. When Dr. Saud Anwar heard about this case, he says he immediately thought about the victim's health. Police said the man weighed less than 70 pounds when he was rescued. Anwar feels the man's health is at a point of no return. Licensed clinical social worker Phyllis DeJoya says the same could also be said for the man's psychological state.
The entire body is adjusting to the lack of enough resources, nutrition. In some cases, it's irreversible damage.
This child, unfortunately, was set up for every kind of delay. He had said that he remembered being locked in his bedroom as early as 3 years old. The development of a sense of emotional safety and security would have been damaged at that very early age. His version of normal is going to be an integration, I would imagine, of what he has known and what he can learn. Learning coping strategies, cognitive behavioral therapy, trauma-informed care are absolute musts.
Now, since this story broke, we have not gotten any new details on the man's condition, but we will continue to follow this case and provide new details as we get them. In Vernon, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
You'll find more coverage in all our top stories on our free Fox 61 News app. Use the QR code there on your screen and download it, or head over to fox61.com.
Rain knocking on the doorstep now. You'll even see some heavier downpours in here. And if we widen out the picture, it's not just the rain coming in from the west, but also from the south as well. Now, the good news is it looks like the heaviest of the rain will be overnight while most people are in bed and sleeping. We're also not expecting any flooding from this. So we get that much needed rainfall without any of the problem areas. The biggest problem right now is we have areas of patchy, dense fog. New Haven's in there somewhere. So if you are out and about driving around for the next several hours before the heavier rain moves in, just be aware that there is lowered visibility. Temperatures right now are in the 40s. And notice what happens as we head through the overnight. We see that rain overspread the state. Again, some locally heavier downpours are possible. Between 6 to 8 a.m. it comes to an end, and there's just enough cool air that there could be a few snowflakes on the tail end just as this is winding down, especially in the higher elevations. No impact from that, more of a curiosity. Then the winds pick up on Friday. We'll talk about it. Full forecast coming up.
Rachel, thank you. A father from Bloomfield says his 10-year-old boy is fighting for his life tonight after police say he was ambushed, or I should say abused and tortured.
The father tells Fox 61 his son was living in Florida with his mother and her boyfriend, and tonight they're in police custody.
Now, we need to warn you, some of the details in this case could be hard to hear. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot has the new developments from the investigation.
A Bloomfield man says his 10-year-old son has been in critical condition for almost a month after police say his mother abused him while he was living with her down in Florida. In this arrest warrant, Kimberly Mills, the boy's mother, is being charged with aggravated child abuse after she and her boyfriend dropped the boy off at an emergency room in Tavares, Florida, just northwest toward Orlando. On February 22nd, the Tavares Police Department in Florida responded to a call for a child with injuries consistent with physical abuse. Police also say the boy was suffering from a cardiac arrest. After police spoke with the boy's younger brother, he said he and his older brother were abused. Tavares police say when they searched the home where they were living with their mom, Kimberly Mills, and her boyfriend, Andre Walker, officers uncovered deeply disturbing evidence. That evidence was laid out in an arrest warrant for the two. Police found a 6-foot ladder, 10-pound weights, and duct tape, all used to restrain the older child, while weights were intentionally dropped onto his exposed stomach. Police also found a thick insulated copper wire which had been used to inflict harm on both boys. Tanya Dorman is the attorney for the boy's father who lives in Bloomfield. Dorman said the father and Mills divorced a few years ago, but Mills retained custody of the two boys and moved them to Florida. Since the boy was brought to the hospital last month, more charges have been brought against Mills and her boyfriend, Andre Walker. The family has also started a GoFundMe for the boy, and you can find that link at fox61.com. In Bloomfield, Kate Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
Okay, thank you. A farm renovation project out of Hamden is causing waves in the community. A night meant to explain a proposal for the old Masali farm instead met with mostly frustration and questions from neighbors. Fox 61's Stefan Reels was at the meeting this evening and has the latest on where things stand.
In my hand, I have a copy of the Masali Farm Master Plan. Now it would essentially overhaul the space that exists right now here in Hamden and then turn it into a haven for wildlife and also an agricultural benefit for the town. However, the project has been facing some difficulties in getting started, and part of that comes with the opposition of the townspeople themselves.
You've awoken a dogged adversary.
In the town of Hamden, frustration boiled over Thursday night from people like Mary Nelson, upset at the potential renovations of the former Mancelli farm on Gilbert Avenue. Project that once saw life roughly 10 years ago, but seemingly faded away from the community. Now 10 years later, revived with new hope to support the local environment and celebrate the wildlife. But it brought uncertainty along with it, and concerns in letters like these delivered in secret to nearby neighbors like Ashley Truman, who told us she showed up Thursday just because she wanted answers as to what was going on, since the letter was filled with claims like the project was toxic and would harm wildlife.
I found it this morning, may have been delivered last night. I call it a nastygram, just a very alarming, very fear-mongery looking letter about snipers being able to look at you from the top of bird watching piers.
Did anything I said today reflect anything that's here? No, right. We might not always agree on the same things, but this is going to be a learning and listening moment.
While the organizer behind the project pushed back against the claims of the letter, so too did the audience, with the worry the renovations would bring more unwanted visitors to their backyards, with little respect for those who call the woods their home.
I'm already constantly picking up cigarette butts, joint butts, White Claws, beer cans, periodically through my woods because people are traipsing about and have no respect for nature.
It means a lot for us to have those animals there. Like, they don't bother us or anything, and we like them. So we just want to know what's going on.
Now, despite this plan in my hand right now, there is no timeline for the project at this time. Thursday night was just mainly meant to be a conversation between the project organizers and the townspeople, and more of these are planned in the future. In Hamden, Stefan Reels, Fox 61.
With the NCAA tournament in full swing, the buzz is not just about buzzer beaters and bracket busters. Sports bettors are jumping into the frenzy too. Fox 61's Angelo Bavaro visited Windsor Locks today, where the wagers have been rolling in.
The stakes are high inside sports bars like this one this time of year, where fans can legally bet on every game-changing moment. If you're one of those people trying your luck, the Department of Consumer Protection is reminding you to do it responsibly and only wager on licensed platforms. Inside Bobby V's in Windsor Locks.
It's crowded, it's a good time.
March Madness takes on meaning beyond the matchups on TV.
The fun of betting live, while things are happening, you're seeing something happen, you can bet for the second half.
This sports bar and restaurant is one of 11 retail locations in Connecticut licensed to offer sports wagers, along with Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods Casino.
It's great for us, it helps business.
The 3 online platforms authorized to offer wagers are DraftKings, FanDuel, and Fanatics.
So how are the bets going so far?
It's super good. So far, so good.
Absolutely terrible.
Jeremy Wilson is hosting his friend Sean from Minnesota, where sports betting is not legal.
I don't ever gamble. I came out here, and he's been showing me the ropes all day. So I guess he's a good teacher or maybe a bad teacher since he can't win himself.
Like I decided to bet on a team called High Point. Clearly not the best idea.
It's fun and games for some.
Problem gaming helpline spikes about 30% during March Madness.
But Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection Commissioner Brian Caffarelli is urging responsible betting.
Set limits. You could set time limits. You could set money limits.
Always use licensed platforms.
Illegal offshore gaming. We can't help you if something goes wrong. And you run the risk of having your money or personal identification stolen with little or no resource.
And recognize when you have a problem.
We also, the department administers a self-exclusion list. You can voluntarily put yourself on a list to exclude yourself from the ability to place wagers in Connecticut for a year, 5 years, or a lifetime.
And some news that fans might not be happy to hear. You still cannot bet on college teams from Connecticut unless they're playing in a tournament. But even that exception has limits. You cannot bet on the individual games involving those teams, but you can bet on the outcome of the tournament. However, even allowing a bet on that is up to the platform. Reporting in Windsor Locks, I'm Angelo Bavaro, Fox 61.